Good evening, friends. Today it's my honor to introduce Mr. Swarup Mohanti, CEO and Associate Director of Mirai Investment Management Manager India Private Limited. As a CEO, he looks quite young, but do not go for his looks. He has more than 27 years of experience in the field of financial services. For more than 11 years, he has been a national head at Mirai. He has done a lot of groundwork and he kept, thank you, and he keeps interacting with the mutual fund distributors like us, connecting investors like you, and of course with the fund managers. We, he, Whenever we meet, he brings a lot of value uh, to the table, and that is why we have requested him to address you on a very important topic of retirement. His introduction remains incomplete if we do not mention about his experience with other mutual funds, where he worked on a ground level and which made his foundation very strong. He was a national head of Religer Asset Management Company Limited. He has worked with Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC Limited, Franklin Templeton Asset Management India Private Limited, Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company Limited. He is also on the board of 4 Mirai Asset Management subsidiaries and helping them to design the investment strategy. Besides all his investments, he can very well relate to our investment difficulties and helps us to dissect the fund manager's jargons. To put it simply, he knows how to make investment process simpler. May I welcome Mr. Swarup Mohanti on the dais. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for those kind words. My name is Swarup Mohanti. I represent Mirai Asset in India. But today is a very difficult task because JP and I go back almost, 20 years now, maybe more, not less. And he made a very emotional pitch about the country, giving very unemotional data. Then in the second presentation, Mr. Hariharan said that, you should not be emotional at all, which is correct. If you have to succeed in investing, you cut out all your emotions. Now here I am talking about retirement, which is probably the most emotional thing in our own life. And I am supposed to make it very unemotional. So let's see how it goes. And then I think Bhushan sir said it rightly, saying that 75% of Indians don't plan for retirement. So he to wrote me off before I started only. So अभी देखते हैं आगे आधा घंटा है मेरे पास 29 minutes 14 seconds. So let's see how we approach the subject. The point I want to make is that when we look at the country and then you look at just 12% of India having pension income, just speaks of the importance of retirement in our country. Add to the fact that JP has already told you आप कुछ भी करो खर्चा आप रोक नहीं सकते हो, right? जो आज 1 रुपया खर्चा कर रहे हैं जब रिटायर करेंगे शायद 5 रुपया करना पड़े. All of us know that. It is somewhere in the subconscious. How to bring it down in front of us and prepare for it in a mathematical manner is something which I'll attempt today. Because this is what I'd like to do, is that retirement data across the world we'll look at, and some figures that I'll put across, people might debate, but when there is data, please understand data does not lie. Yeah. Why retirement planning? I think everybody knows why retirement planning, but we'll try to put some science behind it. Factors affecting retirement, which is very important, and these factors keep on changing with the stage of the country. When we looked at some of the factors in 1940s or early 30s, retirement was not that big a deal. For certain reasons, why it's such a big deal now. And lastly, how can mutual funds or any other investment vehicles can help you in the retirement. But just to start, this is data. And this is how data plays out worldwide on the need for money. And when I look at the Indian data, which is around $1,84,000 per person in a metro city in this country, and Pune I'm including in the metro city, is that we are looking at $1,84,000 for one person in a family to lead a decent retirement life. Please understand, this data or this money does not include your hospitalization requirements. Just to lead your basic life with no children, just about one person. So if you're a family of two, 1,84,000 is around 1.5 crores. So when we stand up and say कि retirement के लिए करीब 1.5 crore per person चाहिए, 99% of the people don't believe me. That is why probably Bhushan sir, you are right, 75% of the people don't plan for retirement. But अगर retirement करनी है और आप खुद maths करें, थोड़ा बहुत Excel या calculator बैठ के देखें, this is the data worldwide. Unfortunately, we are not born in Pakistan, because Pakistan is the cheapest country for retirement. Nearly half our cost is required to retire in Pakistan. But that's data. This is a CDC ORG data research. You can all Google and see what are the parameters and why they have arrived at this conclusion. But the point I'm making is paisa lagega. Kitna lagega will differ from people to people. But करीब 1.5 crore per पैसा आज के लिए मान के चलते हैं per person. Then when you look at the preparedness for retirement, here is US, and most of us would know US a bit, is that it has social security. Apart from that, here are the Americans who have prepared for their retirement. If you go to this data, US has nearly 32 crore people in 2020, and had a pension fund of 35 trillion US dollars. JP painted a great picture of India at 5 trillion. This is what the people of US have. Apart from a country which is already prepared them कि उनका कुछ नहीं होएगा तो एक social security है. Right? They are the country which is prepared for their retirement. When you contrast that to India, and here's our number, 138 crore people in 2020, and you know how much we give birth per day, amounting to 249 billion. See the contrast. And that is why, if we don't think of retirement, it is considered the biggest ticking bomb in our lives. If you haven't thought of it as on yesterday, you're already dead, is a reality, right? But the point I'm making is, nearly US is almost 10 times that of UK. And that's why they lead a very different life from the rest of the world. Just taking it forward, add to the fact that, I think one of the data which came out is India has good demographics, and India is growing. 30% of world population under 60 is in India. So the number of people who are earning naturally, then when you look at the slide with China, which is an aging population, Canada, which is aging, Japan, which is almost dead, Korea had gone up, but now is not producing babies, so there also it's going down. US though does not produce babies now. So India, from a prima facie perspective, is adding number of people who are earning. And when you look at that earning data, these people will not have one thing, that is, what will these young people not have, which say my father had? Pension, right? They will not have pension. Both my parents are retired professors, both have pension. Right? Please keep this in mind, and I'll refer back to my parents after some time. Then, this is the biggest problem. पहले इंडिया में लोग मर जाते थे. अभी नहीं मर रहे हैं. It's a big issue. 1970, our average age was 47. Today it is 70. Right? That means effectively, you will have to work for 25 to 30 years to survive for another 25 to 30 years. अगर उतने में काम खत्म हो जाए तो बहुत बढ़िया. उसके आगे गए तो issue again starts. Fact is, this data is growing. Why is it growing? Science, better hospitalization, better living standards, good medicine. So we are leading a longer life than earlier. Whenever we used to make a financial plan, we will always ask, because please understand what I am saying today, and when we are looking at investments in the last two presentations has emphasized on one word. What is it? Two words actually. Investments is no emotions. So whatever I say for the next 22 minutes is absolutely no emotion, so please don't take me otherwise. When we are looking at another 10 years, we're probably looking at elongating our lives more. So this data which I said that we'll work for 25, 30 years to sustain ourselves for another 25, 30 years could be 30, 40 years. Right? जो old हो गए, they are better off than me. I'm better off than my son from this perspective. One of the biggest reasons for requirement of proper financial planning is we are beginning to live long. Look at South Korea. 83 is their average. Canada 82. China is catching up at 77. But Japan 84. They don't die. Yeah. Because they've taken care of everything. But they should need money to survive. So please, when we look at retirement, it comes with this life expectancy, which is a huge, what can I say, eye-opener for the requirement of this data. Because either you have income, not a problem. If you don't have income, then what do you do about it? Or you create income is where I'm leading to. So just to summarize, is we're living longer. Majority of the population is now working now, so they'll have to prepare for that. Please understand, we've understood that this working population does not have pension. If you look at the government servants, and from mutual funds, we were trying to start a PF side of the business. I went to one of the largest banks and they said, PF to abhi NPS ho gaya. So why are you starting a PF division? It's a dying part of your business. I didn't know that, but fact is I have NPS. मैं कर रहा हूँ, मुझे खुद realization नहीं आ रहा है. Right? So possibly everybody, जिससे भी आप young से पूछो कि नहीं, I will retire at 45. ठीक है, आप retire कर लो at 35, 45. फिर 50 साल क्या करोगे? Will you be able to sustain yourself? Nearly 70, and this is the 2011 census, nearly 72% of people work post-retirement because it is a financial need in India. 2011 census. Maybe it would have been better now, but it won't be less than 60%. That's the reality, right? Because they didn't account for this longer life. And of course, the healthier life is lead. This is addressed by the ministry itself, where it's saying that people in India are living longer. Here's what it becomes a little serious, and let's start talking about how to go about it. Because everybody will tell you how to plan your finance. And if you Google also, you'll be able to find out. I think the previous presentation of Mr. Hariharan said something very interesting, is that you need an advisor. And my view on the advisor is not the planning part. My view on the advisor is to keep you steady in that plan for 30 years. Left to you, he's also explained why you will not be steady. None of us are steady. The biggest part, plan तो आप 2 मिनट गूगल में कर लोगे तो 30 पेज मिलता है how to make a plan. आप कर लो प्लान, आप पैसा डाल दो, आप रुको तो मैं मानूं. Right? So, before that, what is a big realization in today's life is what I'd like to speak on is bucketing and segregation. Typically, and I'd like you to think, I don't want an answer on this, how many of us have separate plans for our separate needs? Portfolio एक ही होता है, right? कुछ बना रहे हैं. Half the times I ask them, क्यों बना रहे हो? No, wealth create कर रहे हैं. Wealth create कर रहे हो तो कितना wealth create करोगे? Are you sure? नहीं, वो तो कुछ है. I'm saying, okay, wealth creation, let's put a figure, no? अब मैंने अगर बताया है कि 1.5 करोड़ चाहिए पर पर्सन, आप नहीं मानोगे तो 50 लाख तो चाहिए। अब फैमिली ऑफ 2 मीन्स 1 करोड़ तो लगेगा। आप वो भी नहीं मानोगे तो चलो 75 लाख लगेगा, नहीं तो 50 लाख लगेगा। डू वी हैव दैट इन योर माइंड दैट फॉर माई रिटायरमेंट मेरा 50 लाख लगेगा, एंड दैट्स अ सेपरेट अकाउंट। First thing is my humble request is that you segregate the retirement from everything else. नहीं तो वही एक ही किटी से आप खर्चा करोगे ना, ये 1.5 करोड़ नहीं रहेगा। 9 out of 10 plans are one plan, not a segregated plan. If I were to leave behind one thing in all your minds, is that please segregate your retirement, because it is the need for you. I can scare you enough, okay? I don't want to scare you enough tonight, but humble request is, and this is a very late learning in my life also, is to bucket, and I'll explain why. The rest, of course, the merits of asset allocation, how you accumulate money, and how you go about retirement is laid down. Now, all of us, and there are enough pedigreed advisors and distributors sitting here, all of us will tell you how to plan for retirement. But do you know who is the biggest enemy of a retired person? Who? Who? Person पूछ रहा हूँ, आदमी पूछ रहा हूँ। Yeah. Who said that? The biggest enemy of the retired life is the retiree himself or herself. Because पूरा लाइफ जुड़ जाता है इन प्लानिंग, उधर पहुंच जाते हैं, फिर विड्रॉ करने में ना, एक्चुअल वर्ड मैं यूज नहीं करूंगा। My parents, I bring back my parents, and this happened last month, and it's a real story in my life. My mother is a retired principal, my father is also a retired principal. उनको पेंशन मिलता है। My mother gets 98,000 per month, my father gets 92,000 per month. And पेंशन में भी इंक्रीमेंट है, ऐसा नहीं कि वो उतने में चालू किए थे। मैंने उनसे चैलेंज किया कि देखो अगले महीने भी 98 और 92 आएगा, अगले महीने भी 98 और 92 आएगा। एक महीना ना, जस्ट एक महीना आप मुंबई में हो, 98 और 92 खर्चा करके दिखाओ। 1 month, spend that 1,80,000 कर दो तो मैं मान जाऊं। They cannot, because सारा लाइफ बीत गया in the top part. You have not planned the withdrawal. नहीं तो फिर क्यों जमा किया? Because of this, ये withdrawal किसको जाता है पता है? वो मेरे बेटे को जाएगा, राइट? एंड मिस्टर हरिहरन का एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग एक स्लाइड था ऑन विच फंड यू विल रिडीम। अगर बेटा लायक है ना तो उसको ये जरूरत ही नहीं होगा, अगर नालायक है ना तो इसको भी डुबाएगा। प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड। बट माई एग्रीमेंट विथ माई पेरेंट्स इज जितना है उतना खर्चा करके जाओ, मेरे को आपका पैसे की जरूरत नहीं है। बट आई चैलेंज देम टू स्पेंड देयर मनी, बिकॉज ऑल देयर लाइव्स, फॉर वट एवर रीजन, फॉर ऑल दिस केयरिंग पार्ट ऑफ योर सेल्फ, you only plan the top 3, and my session today is about the 4th one. ये top 3 ना आप कर लोगे, डोंट वरी, बट करके उधर पहुंच के अगर लाइफ ठीक से नहीं लीड किए तो वो जीना भी क्या जीना। If anybody is disagreeing, I'd like to understand that, because I want to lead a retired life in the same line, at least at what I'm leading. राइट, आई डोंट वांट टू ब्रिंग डाउन। नहीं तो क्यों इतना घिस रहा हूं लाइफ में, क्यों इतना मेहनत कर रहा हूं, राइट? इफ यू एटलीस्ट लीड दैट लाइफ विच यू हैव लेड योर एंटायर लाइफ, दिस इज नॉट 1947 व्हेन वी डिडंट हैव रिसोर्सेस, दिस इज 2022, एंड जेपी जस्ट टोल्ड यू व्हाट 2050 विल बी। इट विल बी इवन बेटर. At least enjoy that, that's what. But so please, my humble request is, while you are planning, we'll talk about the withdrawal, think that जो आपने सोचा कि महीने का ना 1 लाख रुपया निकालूंगा, वो 1 लाख रुपया आप निकालो, because you deserve it. That is what you owe to yourself, right? That's my humble request, right? Just to carry it forward, why I feel you need to segregate it is that there is a need to that retirement path, and it is a very specific need, right? Second part is you have to bucket with a purpose. अगर आपको कितना पैसा चाहिए, भाई सबका लाइफ अलग अलग होता है. मेरा रिटायरमेंट रिक्वायरमेंट और आपके रिटायरमेंट में रिक्वायरमेंट हेल एंड हेवन का डिफरेंस होगा, बिकॉज मैं कुछ और सोच रहा हूँ लाइफ के बारे में, आप कुछ और सोच रहे हो, एंड द ब्यूटी इज बोथ ऑफ अस आर राइट. देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग, नथिंग राइट, राइट? देन ऑफ कोर्स it is a need for you. If I have not been able to say that, just shut the light tonight and look at the rest of your life and assume you are going to lead 10 years later. You're going to live 10 years more, and add the money to yourself and check how much you have. And then we say, there's a lot of, my first Pifaa presentation, I had addressed this, what is wealth? And then I think we just addressed the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki has said, if you close your eyes and you think of the amount of money you have today and how many days you will survive with that money, is the amount of wealth you have today. It's a time factor, not a rupee factor. When I think of that, मेरा पूरा रात फिर नींद नहीं आता है. That's the reality. Okay, but because what will happen is needs come up now and then. If you are taking it from that same kitty, and all needs will be justified. I am very lucky that my son decided to study in India. It's data, let me tell you. In Mumbai, all the people I know, all their kids are abroad. If my kid says he wants to go abroad, it is not financial planning, it is emotion. वो तो मैं लिखा था उसमें कि I am not dependent on my parents and I think my son should not be dependent on me. आके बोल गया, that means you are not going to give me money. Emotions. So if he decides tomorrow that he wants to go abroad, it is 1.5 crores a year. वो तो प्लान में नहीं था. Right? So there will be logical plans which will take out that kitty, hence segregate it. Because then cross-pollination is avoided, and just to stay on course and just taking ahead what Mr. Hariharan said, is that if you start early and you stay the course, I'm giving you a very simple data of 10,000 rupees per month. If you start and stay the course the entire 30 years, and though you would have ticked, and he's also explained why it is impossible to stay 30 years. While in your life you are actually staying in 30 years in other asset classes. Which are those asset classes? घर आप खरीदते हो. So it's not that you are not used to, ऐसा आपका behavior नहीं है. दूसरा gold, वो तो दूसरा generation तक जाता है. ऐसा नहीं कि आपका habit नहीं है. बट जब हमारे तरफ आ जाता है ना, तो स्टोरी थोड़ा पलट जाता है. उसमें फिर इमोशन आ जाता है, डिसिप्लिन आ जाता है, बहुत कुछ आता है. उधर कुछ भी नहीं है. ऐसा नहीं यू आर नॉट डूइंग इट, यू आर डूइंग इट इन योर लाइफ, बट नॉट ऑन दिस साइड, विच इज मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट. द हाउस यू स्टे इन, यू कांट सेल. Right? The rate Robert Kiyosaki has told us that. So if you do this for 30 years, your value would be 3.5 crores. And this is math, so I don't. If you started for 10 years and stopped and not contributed, then your value would drop to 2.2 crores. And if you started late, which was my biggest problem, I started late, and I feel very funny because we preach it and we didn't practice it. And if you are investing it drops, plummets to just 98 lakhs. And you start, stop and exit, कुछ निकल जाते हो, तो it's just nothing. And this is what it is. If you started at 30, 40, 60, 30 years of journey, just to take it forward, and this is a very important slide of mine, is why segregation is important. Because I think JP rightly said, phone 1.5 लाख का आता है. एंड अगर आप, मैं अभी OnePlus यूज़ कर रहा हूँ, आज सुबह से 2 बार सुन चुका हूँ, तू OnePlus यूज़ कर रहा है क्यों यार? वाई यू नॉट यूजिंग अ गुड फोन? 2 बार सुबह से सुन चुका हूँ. इफ यू डोंट हैव एन आईफोन, देयर इज एन इशू. यू आर नॉट अलाइव, राइट? अगर मैं आपसे बोलता हूँ कि नहीं, सुबह ना आप मॉर्निंग वॉक पे जाओ, यू विल बी कॉट डेड इफ यू बाय दैट. हम जो बचपन में ना वाइट बाटा किड्स लेके जाते थे, उसमें आप जॉगिंग करके निकलो, मैं भी मान जाऊं. आप वो सिर्फ नाइकी खरीदोगे, वहाँ तक रुकेगा नहीं, आपको एक वैसा शॉर्ट्स खरीदना पड़ेगा, ट्रू फिट एक जैकेट पहनना पड़ेगा, वट एवर दैट थिंग, एक इधर एयरपॉड लगाना पड़ेगा, वो सब ऐसा हो के ना 1.5 लाख निकल जाता है। सपोज आप निकाले, फिर आप बोले कि नहीं अभी 2 साल तो मैं घर में था, थोड़ा रिवेंज ट्रैवल करूं, फिर एक ट्रैवल, अभी 3 साल में घर में रुका यार, ट्रैवल तो करना पड़ता है, इट्स ऑल्सो अ नीड, फिर आप 5 लाख निकाल दिए, फैमिली इमरजेंसी होता है। एंड जब आप घुसते हो हॉस्पिटल में, व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन? हाँ, इट इज नो लॉन्गर आपका बीमारी है कि नहीं, बराबर, आपका इंश्योरेंस है तो बहुत बढ़िया, इधर आओ। इंश्योरेंस नहीं है, 1 मोमेंट प्लीज, फिर कब आएंगे यू डू नॉट नो। अगर नहीं है तो 10 लाख तो 1 घंटे का बात है इन हॉस्पिटल, वो भी हॉस्पिटल है तो जायज़ है। ये सब जब निकल जाता है ना, डिसिप्लिन्ड इन्वेस्टर्स एट 10 lakhs जिसने इन्वेस्ट किया रहेगा, आफ्टर 30 years, and I am talking about 12% return, is 3.7 crores lump sum. जिसने ये थोड़ा फोन वोन खरीदा होगा, थोड़ा निकाला होगा फॉर योर फोन, it drops to 3.2 lakhs. Just one phone is taken away 48 lakhs of your compounding. One phone. लेकिन आप एक फोन तो खरीदोगे नहीं, एक फोन इज 48 lakhs. अब मैंने आपको गुरु मंत्र दे दिया, अब मान के चलो, I'll make you really, क्या कहते हैं, वेरी वेरी गिल्टी व्हेन यू बाय अ फोन नेक्स्ट टाइम. अब आप छुट्टी पे गए, वो जो 5 लाख विच यू सेड कि इसके बिना तो मैं जी नहीं सकता हूं, उसमें गया आपका 1 करोड़. थिंक अबाउट इट, दिस इज मैथमेटिक्स, दिस इज अनइमोशनल, प्योर डेटा. अगर आप पूरा सब कुछ कर लिया और थोड़ा हॉस्पिटल हो आए तो गया ऑलमोस्ट 2 करोड़. दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ हैविंग वन पोर्टफोलियो और वन प्लान. फिर 1.5 करोड़ में से तो चला ही गया आपका, जो 10 लाख में बन रहा था आपका रिटायरमेंट, वो आके रुका एट 1.9 करोड़, जबकि वो कुछ 3.5 करोड़ बन रहा था. राइट? So that is why my humble request is keep it separate, and then you can do wonders with just 10 lakh rupees now. It's not a lot of money that is required. But if you don't do this, then you are on track. Right? And this is what happens, you know, we finance guys come and tell you that there's a glide path. I'd like to speak a little bit about that. There is monitoring which is required. Please understand, you make wealth by monitoring and rebalancing the portfolio rather than anything else, because sometimes you are out of the path. You have to remain on the plan, right? And then how much of time is most important. Like I said, if you stayed for 30 years, you got that money. If you didn't, then you didn't get that money. And of course, how much of risk that you can undertake, because when you start off investing, you think it is a business of generating returns. As you become a good investor, you realize that it's a business of managing risks. Right, Joe? Some people who would have gone through 40% fall in a 1 month time would have reassessed their risk, and it's okay. Right? Nothing wrong with it. जो instrument आपको कुछ सोच के आए थे वो कुछ और निकला. It's better to reassess risk and marry your risk again and get back on course. But here's how mostly a glide path works, because as you, like I said, you work for 25-30 years to prepare for the next 25-30 years. But in this 25-30 years, you'd like, and this is the, what can I say, the stable part of the portfolio, the red is the equity part of the portfolio. It is advisable to start reducing your money towards a safer part of the portfolio, because you will definitely need money when you retire. At the same time, the point I'm making is you cannot make it zero. There is this big age sort of formula which says that your age minus 100 is your safer part. Suppose I'm 52 now, and I'm a little aggressive, so I add 15 to that. So 52 plus 15 is 77 is my equity part, and the balance becomes debt. I'm on the other side. But if you are, say, 60, 70, then you start tapering it down. Even towards the end of your life, you should have some money on the growth assets, and I'll explain why I'm proposing that. because this is typically explained by Mr. Haryana, so I don't want to go deeper into it, because you move from skepticism to hope to frustration to finally becoming a good investor. But a person who goes through 2 cycles in the market becomes a better investor. ये जो अभी का माहौल चल रहा है, ये माहौल में एक अच्छा इन्वेस्टर पैदा होता है. Right? This is the best time to learn as an investor, because अगर आप कोविड के बाद आए तो आप एकदम एंथू होके रहे हो. बट ऐसा जो हम लोग मार खा के आए हैं 90s से, हमें ये सब प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है. अगर मेरा पोर्टफोलियो में 10 लाख का लॉस है तो मेरा अप्रोच इज 10 लाख डालो. राइट? बिकॉज जेपी ने तो बता देगा 2050 में क्या होएगा. एंड इफ यू डोंट बिलीव जेपी, देन इट्स योर प्रॉब्लम. इट इज नॉट जेपीज प्रॉब्लम, बिकॉज वो तो हो ही रहा है. राइट? जैसे उसने बताया शायद 2 साल बाद होगा, लेकिन होएगा जरूर. अगर लेकिन हम जो मानते हैं होगा तो हम बैठ जाते हैं बाजार में. अभी हमारा थोड़ा इधर पहुंचा है, अभी तक वहां तक नहीं गया हूं और भी थोड़ा उम्र बाकी है. बट यू नो, दीज आर द phases that you go through your investment journey. The more you conquer it, the better you become as an investor. But again, a very important slide from my side is that if you are 25 and you have an SIP, you need just for, you know, if you need 3 crores, and why I've said 3 crores, any reason why I'm putting 3 crores as a subject, as a 2 people, 1.5 crore per person. पुणे की बात कर रहा हूँ, मुंबई तो और थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. राइट? इसीलिए मैंने 3 करोड़ लिया है. अगर आप 25, I see some young people in the crowd, so if you start at 25, you just need an SIP of 4,600 rupees. If you add another 5 years, it goes up to 8,500. Another 5 years, you need 15,000 rupees per month. Another 5 years, it goes to 30,000. Now, if you start at 45, you will need 60,000 rupees just for your retirement. Baki alag. But when you see this slide, what you see is the orange part is your investment amount. You're just investing 19 odd lakhs. Here you need 30 lakhs, you need 47 lakhs, and by the time you're 45, you're starting late, you will need 1 crore. The light part is your investment gain, which is why if you stay invested, then your investment return and your investor return match. But the point I'm making, early you start, your investment return is actually huge. But the key is staying for 420 months. Yeah? This is the maths, and all of us have studied it when we were in school, is that आप इधर 3 करोड़ डालो, आपका investment डालो, return डालो, and time डालो. This is a controllable. This is our desire. These are the 2 things which you have to look at. Which is more important? Time. अगर time है तो क्या हो सकता है? Compounding हो सकता है. Return पे क्या हो सकता है अगर बहुत time है आपके पास? तो आप कम return, कम risk पे भी पहुंच सकते हो. Right? Because the more time you have, the less return you can take lesser risk. The less time you have, for your desired amount, you have to take more risk, or you have to push for higher returns. Right? I'm almost coming to an end, because these are the realities. That retirement investment should start from an earliest earnings. Income brackets can be static. Please understand, आपका income बंद हो सकता है, but आपका investment income ना चालू रहता है. अगर मेरा नौकरी चला जाता है, कुछ इन्वेस्टेड है, वो बंद नहीं होता है, उसका जर्नी चालू है. बराबर? एम्प्लॉयमेंट में सीज, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, इज दैट हियर्स वन थिंग व्हिच आई लीव बिहाइंड, एंड आई विल गिव द फाइनल एग्जांपल ऑन दैट, is that your withdrawal rate, suppose when you are finally deciding on your withdrawal rate, your withdrawal rate should be lower than your return rate of your portfolio. Suppose I am saying that my return rate of my portfolio is just, for example, 8% of my portfolio. My withdrawal should be less than 8%. This is the key. And I'll explain that. The myth is one needs to plan for retirement after retirement. I met somebody in Mumbai, I will not take names, he had just retired and he was told, आपके लिए तो retirement fund है. आप लगा दो इधर. The need for retirement starts very early in life. One cannot earn after retirement is a myth. Your investments earn you after retirement. Right? One needs to curtail lifestyle and expenses post retirement. वो था कभी 1942 में. अभी नहीं है. And your desire should not be that. Right? And if one withdraws too much, you will lose your savings. This is a myth. And let's look at my last slide before I end my presentation. And this is what I meant by withdrawing little less than your. Suppose, again I'm coming back to 3 crores. I just want you to look at 3 crores as a figure. Now you've said this is your 3 crores and you want 1.5 lakhs per month to live, which is your, and your cost plus return is a 7%. At 1.5 lakhs, you are actually withdrawing at 6%, which is 1% lower than, I've just given maths, you can do your own maths, right? If you withdraw 1.5 lakh for, and I'm giving a retirement period of 35 years post-retirement, 35 साल आप जिए, आप 1.5 लाख withdraw किए, 35 साल में on 3 crores, this is maths again, you would have withdrawn 6.3 crores. And you would still leave behind your son, like or not like, I do not know, 7.5 crores. It is this fear which does not lead you to live a good retirement life. कि मैं अगर पैसा निकाल दूं तो क्या बचेगा क्या? But if you look at it unemotionally and put it mathematically, you're actually withdrawing 6.3 crores in 35 years over a final kitty of 3 crores because that is growing. आपने 1.5 लाख निकाला, which is 7%. And I've assumed just a return of 7% on that portfolio. I'm not assuming equity 15, 12, 13%. I'm just assuming a 7% growth. This 3 crores, after you've withdrawn 6.3 crores, you will be left with 7.5 crores. थोड़ा 1 मिनट इस पे चुप रहता हूं. This is true. This is not wrong. The humble request I am making is अगर आपको 1.5 लाख निकालना है तो आप बिंदास निकालिए और खुद का लाइफ जिए. नहीं इसमें एक महीना थोड़ा 1 लाख निकाल देता हूँ, अगले महीना थोड़ा बच जाएगा. नहीं, वो पैसा ग्रो कर रहा है, 7% में मैंने डाला है, ऐसा कोई तोड़ फोड़ रॉकेट साइंस रिटर्न नहीं डाला है. राइट? सो प्रिपेयर फॉर योर रिटायरमेंट लाइक नो टुमारो, बट व्हेन यू रिटायर, live your life like no tomorrow. If you've planned it well. Because you deserve it. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your wife or your wife owes it to you. Right? And just a portfolio formation, enough has been spoken about it. So just go about. I'll end. And today I just wanted to talk about withdrawal. So please don't stop withdrawing or living your life post-retirement. Wish all of you a great retired life. And for the young ones, prepare. It's a great life ahead. Yeah? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Swarup sir. Wonderful presentation on one of the most important aspects, largely neglected. Again, retirement remains the most important goal. May I request Mr. Santosh Pardeshi and Anupama Zuekar to please come ahead and felicitate Mr. Swarup. Just give us 2 minutes to wind up. Thank you. Great. So the Pifaa core team is keen to continue with this series of Smart Money seminars. We will be back after a few months and we will ensure that you are informed about our future events as well. Shubh Ratri, good night. On behalf of Pifaa core team and members, I once again thank you all for being present here. Thank you to our webcast viewers as well. And please do take very good care of yourself and your money. Happy investing. Thank you so much. Good night.